Honey, what are you thinking?
What's happening? It's a new day with a new topic and a new question. The question is, how do you decide who to date and who will just be a fling? So how do we decide who to date? That means who we planning to keep on for a little bit longer or probably forever. And who do we decide is not good enough? Who do we decide is just good for a fling for a short period of time? Sometimes we just, or most men just keep them for the sex. Probably nothing more, nothing else. There are different ways to look at it, and maybe we can start it off. Let me just start with the first point first. So, question: how do men decide who to date and who will be just a fling? The dating time and the dating game is a lot of fun if you go in it with an open mind. Remember that. If you're open-minded, you're out there to find love or to have fun. Just go out there with an open mind, because you don't always meet the right person the first time. We all know that, or the second, sometimes not the third or the fourth. As the saying goes, you're always kissing a couple of frogs before you find your prince. So, personally, when I'm deciding who I can date and who becomes just a fling, it's based on what I find about. It's based on what I find out about you. Yeah, but first, there are things like the way you're dressed. For most men, that's part of it, right? I mean, that's the first thing. That's the first thing we see: how you dress, how you look like, how you conduct yourself. That's for most men. It means the difference between deciding to even approach or talk to you. Dressing apart. I might be attracted to you. Of course, that's the first thing. If you caught my attention, there it means there was something unique, something that I liked about you. Probably the hairstyle, because everything else is probably alright. So usually the way you look like, the whole package, the whole thing, the whole woman, so to put it. And quite frankly, and come to think about it, how we are going to, let's go back to like how we decide on the fling. If it's a fling, if I didn't find you attractive at first, I don't think it's gonna happen. So either way, first time, I can't just make the decision you're gonna be a date or a fling. The first thing is I found you attractive enough to even think about it. So after that first step, so the second step and the third step is what determines everything else. Because now I have to raise the bar a little bit and come to the decision like, all right, first, attractive, tick, that's a check. So next point, what else do I think? What else do I find? That's where we start to look at something else, anything else that differentiates you from everybody else. Of course, if he already caught your interest, that means he already found you attractive. He's already smitten by you. So let's move on. So maybe along the way, sometimes let's quite frankly, and come to think about it, if we even chatted or had something going on maybe for a while, it means I felt something. It means I'm interested. So it would probably work, hopefully, or maybe we work together. Maybe I saw you somewhere and approached you. Along the way, something happened, and I realized maybe we aren't really good for each other. It happens. Even though we might work together or we're in the same environment, and then you pick my interest, and then we hang out or we spend some time together, and then along the way, something happens. Maybe you do something or you say something, or something happens between us, and I realize, oh, maybe it's just not what I expected. Way before the sex thing, I'm not talking about we have sex and then maybe I find out that we are not meant for each other. Way before that, probably something happened way before that. We'll still talk about that. Let's go back to the dress code. How you dressed. Personally, I just want something normal. I mean, between normal and sexy. Sexy means showing your confidence in who you are. I like ladies who are with the current times, which is just about basically 98% of the ladies. Most of them, they're doing what's trendy, fashionable, and I'm not talking about crazy fashion like whatever's up today, whatever's gone tomorrow. No, I'm just talking about the basic stuff. Like you're just current. You're not doing anything like too old, too crazy, like the early '90s. Of course, nobody does that, but I'm talking about just being normal. I don't mean crazy about the latest trends. No, sir. Just stay relevant. That's all I mean. At the very least, just be relevant with whatever's happening. Short skirts once in a while, or if you love them, whatever, as much as you love them. Hot pants, shorts, no problem. We love that. Dresses once in a while, or as much as you like it. Pants, jeans, a little mix of everything. We love all that. If you love it, we're okay with it. As long as, and of course it depends with most men, as long as it's within the current trends. I'm not talking about like today's trends or tomorrow's or this week's or this month. No, the current years, maybe the past 5 years, something like that, or at least even the past 10 years, no problem. At least you're with the times because you expect the same of us, and that's what we do. You don't see me going out with whatever guys were wearing in the 80s or, I mean, not the 1980s, I'm talking about the 1800s. So we don't expect that. Just say current. Be cool, just like everybody else. We move with society. Whatever we guys are doing, you should at least be up there with them. Just know, basically what I'm saying is you shouldn't stand out for all the wrong reasons. You just know how to dress. Be stylish without going overboard. It's not about spending a lot of money on expensive designer clothes or anything like that. But if you like it, it's all good. Just don't be way too different, like going overboard to look different. You don't really need to do that. You stand out either way just by looking good. Yeah. So next point, know your body and dress for it. We got different bodies. We got the petite, we got slim, we got thick, we got big, we got BBW. Doesn't matter. At the bottom of all of that, what matters is you know your kind of body, your body size, and your shape, and you dress for that. You've seen ladies dressing up in something that's probably not the best thing for their kind of body, and it doesn't always look the same way. There's a there are so many styles, different styles, for all shapes and sizes. So just maybe if you don't do that, take the time to compare and find the best style that fits you. That's a part of. It's not a deal breaker, but it's one of them. If I meet a lady, I'll be attracted. I just as I mentioned to the full package, the whole package. That means how she dresses. If she dresses nicely, that means she knows herself and she knows how she looks like, or the best style for her, and obviously she'll go for that. And moving on, just dress the part and know when to dress for which occasion. The different occasions, and sometimes different occasions demand that we dress differently. I mean, look at the penguin. That guy is always in a tuxedo. We don't need to be like penguins, of course. We don't always need to be walking around in tuxedos, regardless of the weather. But what I'm saying is know how to dress for every occasion. This just means being socially conscious. If you're visiting my grandma, please leave the super, super short skirt that I love. I know I love it. We love going out with it, clubbing, maybe visiting friends and all that. But when we are visiting my grandma or something like that, just drop it, leave it back. You can bring it along. We can put it on after we're done with grandma. But in the meantime, please, she doesn't need to see that. I mean, the one you only put on when we are going to the club and all that. Our grandmas are old. I don't really think she can take any more hits to the heart. So let's spare her some of that. I don't think she'd mind, but just save her the trouble. Let's keep her going. And a short skirt or dress would still work, just not the ultra short one. You know what I'm saying? The super short. Like basically it leaves nothing to the imagination. I don't think you basically, I haven't seen a lot of ladies do like wear such skirts, super, 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 super short. So if we're together, definitely not a problem. We'll probably be driving or something, so it's not like you'll have a problem with it. But at the end of the day, if you love it, I don't have a problem as long as you look good. And either way, yeah, you're with me, so no problem. So if I'm gonna be dating you, probably just like I mentioned, the grandma thing. So look good depending on the occasion, and just know how to look good. Just that. Usually, that's just the basics. Know how to look good. If I'm out with my friends, they got their girlfriends. You don't need to look the best of all of them, but just always look good, just like most women do. Just like 99% of the women, they look good. So you shouldn't stand out for the wrong reasons. I mentioned that. And remember, just looking good just means being well put. It's not a lot of work or something. So that's somebody I want to date. Somebody who looks good and knows how to dress for every different occasion. But a fling is someone, maybe a friend who might have had something together, but we might be friends or we might be having something, but we're definitely not going to be dating. Why? Different reasons. Number one, dressing. If I find her style not that appealing for whichever reason, maybe it's a sense of style or a sense of fashion, or maybe she doesn't dress for her body size or her shape, I don't see myself, dating a person like that in the long term. Because I will be going out, meeting friends, meeting family, meeting people, and if I don't find you presentable enough to them or to other people, you see what I'm saying? There's probably no future there. So you just end up being a fling. Yeah, it sounds pretty bad, but that's just how most guys think. Yeah, and moving on. Oh, I mentioned it's not bad to have your own style. Awesome, that's all good. Just don't be too different. You don't really need to be that different from every other woman on the planet. There's no point in all that. So, all right, let's move on. I'm just looking for that, like what I'm not looking at. If depending on what you dress, I don't want that confusing look or that confused look where people look and say, "What's that about?" or "What are you pulling out?" or "What are you trying to do?" That's a little bit confusing. Nobody gets it. Like a look completely from out of this planet, ladies. I mean, what I mean is the same way you get attracted to guys who are with the trends and look good is the same way for us too. So just put in that little bit of effort. And actually, most ladies don't really need to put any effort. They already do it. They've been doing it forever. It's natural. So this is just for those who might not, who might stand out or look way too different from what most other people look like. If you feel that's your style and that's how you like it, no problem. You'll always get somebody just for that, somebody who likes that. And just because I want her to wear a slightly better dress or skirt when going to grandma's doesn't mean I want a woman who covers up all the time. Definitely not. A bit of skin never hurt anybody. Look good. I love that. Personally, I love that, and I know most of my friends don't want their friends or their girlfriends or their dates all covered up. Like, no, we don't. We love, or we don't mind a little bit of skin. It just shows you're confident in who you are. You're not afraid of expressing your sexuality and all that. So, no problem. Let's go on. Remember to be yourself. I've always mentioned that you should not feel under pressure to behave or act or dress in a way that's not normal for you. You'll get the right guy for you. They're out there, and some guys want something different. Not all guys want what I'm saying. I'm just giving you the numbers. Some guys love it, some guys don't. So just be you at the end of the day, and rather than be something you're not and then get the wrong guy, then it doesn't last. But improving yourself is different. Imagine what I'm talking about is improving yourself. I'm not talking about if you really just want to be yourself. Remember, there's a difference between being yourself and improving on who you are. There's always something you can improve on. So if somebody's showing you how you can improve yourself, they're not necessarily saying you change who you are. No, they're completely different. You're simply learning what you might need to do different. Is self-improvement or advancement, which always helps, right? So find the good thing that you might change, or you don't have to do everything different. Just something that might be helpful. Like you might not like wearing official clothes, office clothes, but you always do it, right? That's something you need to do. So find out something that might work for you. Just because you haven't tried it, just because you don't like it, you never know. You can give it a shot first. You might come to love it. You're not changing who you are. You're just trying out something different to see if it works. If it doesn't, no problem. You can always go back to it. Go back to whatever you were doing before. No harm. No harm. Nothing goes wrong. And there are exceptions with regards to clothes and dressing up. Look at the artists. Artists go for a certain look, sometimes unique and different from everybody else. So, but they still look awesome. I mean, you can tell creatives when you meet them. They got different hairstyles, different clothes, completely different from what a normal average human being is wearing or doing. So still awesome, and we love them for that. So as long as you're just not walking in like rags or completely tattered clothes in the name of art, fashion, or something else, no problem. If you're wearing that because of maybe lack of cash and all that, that's different. But remember, I mentioned if it has nothing to do with money, you don't need to do that. If you're not an artist or into fashion or something so deep into the latest trends and fashions, just do the basics. You just look good at the end of the day. On hair, some people tend to get a little bit sensitive when you get on the hair part. So personally, and this goes for me and some of my male friends and like-minded male species of humans, of course, the humankind, we rarely go for the lady with a million colors on her hair. You know those ladies, right? They got every other color on her head. Not bad. Some guys love it, some guys like it, but most of us are not really into all those colors. We rarely go for all those colors. Not really. They're just confusing, and I don't know much about that. If you've realized, even Nicki Minaj, she keeps it at a maximum of maybe two different colors. That's all right. I mean, you've seen her videos, pictures and all that. She rarely has more than two colors on her hair. And we know she loves colors on her hair. So it's hot, it's beautiful, it's nice. If you're into colors, most of us don't mind, just not anything more than three colors. Some guys don't mind, they love it. That's them. But most men are not really into all of that. It gets confusing and beyond comprehension. We also, we love most hairstyles. Wigs, weaves, natural hair, no problem. We love them. Just clean. If it's clean shaven, if you like it bald, awesome, great. We love all of them. There's a man for every other hairstyle. Personally, I love all of the formation. I don't have a problem. They're all nice. Most of us just don't want the big, bulky hairstyles. You know that? There's just some hairstyles where there's something huge on top of the hair, like all over the. Sometimes not all over but it just looks heavy. Just looks uncomfortable. It looks inconvenient. Not usually. We don't like that. Short hair, long hair, no problem. Jordan is just like shaving your whole head, no problem. It's all good. It's nice and awesome. The bulky hair, the heavy hair, it looks like you just somebody went and fixed something on your hair. You know that kind? That's an absolute headache and inconvenience to you and to us. I mean, most ladies who have that stuff on their heads, they can't sleep well. That's not really that necessary. For you, if you love it, no problem. But if you're taking it from me, we don't necessarily find that appealing. We don't mind whatever you do or whatever you have, but just to put it out there, you don't find that awesome, that attractive. You don't really see the point behind it. Of course, everybody has their own style and their own preferences, but coming from me, we just really don't fight it. Sometimes I just sympathize and like we just try to be sympathetic and not say a word, but it's not necessary for you to put that. If you're putting it for beauty, you love it, alright. But you look sexy in a million other hairstyles. If a lady's sporting like one of those bulky, huge hairstyles, guaranteed I'm definitely staying there. And speaking for me, some of those like-minded dreadlocks, different. They're cool to most people, to me too, and they're not what I'm talking about. Dreadlocks are different. Lots are different. What I'm talking about is that crazy stuff sometimes on the hair. Like it's not wig and it's not weaves, it's just huge, something big. Yeah, there are different ones that tower over the head in different styles. Those ones, we don't fancy them that much. Worse still is if they have on them the same million colors. Woo! I'm out. I can't handle that. No way. So, no matter which hairstyle you choose, look neat. Usually that's all that matters. It all depends on the kind of guy you're trying to attract. Some guys are attracted to different hairstyles, so yeah, you might get some guys who like it, but maybe not the kind of guy you want to be dating or the kind of guy you want to have. I'm not saying there's any problem with them, just saying. So most of us, we just want neat hairstyle. You look good. You're the complete woman. Doesn't matter what it is. You just need to look good. Afros, awesome. They look good. Too big, small, wavy, curly, messy. There's nothing like too big. They all look good. All afros, all other hairstyles. Yeah, it looks great. So look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, does it look good? Do I feel great? Because also it comes with confidence. If you feel great even in the big one, the one I mentioned before, still no problem. I mean, it comes with the confidence. Especially now for the ladies who are into shaving, awesome, great. But some sort of hairstyle that if you have some hair left over in some parts of the head, just make sure it still looks good. Same thing. When you shaved, when you look at most guys, they're when they leave maybe a fade or something, it looks good, looks neat. I'm not saying you should go making a fade. I'm saying like when you compare to some hairstyles, when you shave, just find something cool and something that looks good on you. And that's all. We love it. We dig that short hair look too. It's crazy and sexy. So yeah, go for it. Yeah. So maintain the look. If you're shaving, just keep it nice. And some guys are looking out for that. We never like say, "Oh, she has short hair." No, I don't like that. No, we love all of them. Definitely. Well maintained short or even long hair. Still, she's a keeper. That's a person I want to date. And braids, still cool, hot, sexy, no problem. The big ones, they're usually like tribal hairstyles. The ones that were commonly found in tribes, I think, some time back. So big. Some of those ones are just not a good fit on a beautiful lady. So if a lady has that, she's definitely probably gonna be a fling, the big one, because I don't want to be hanging out around her for that long, if it even happens that we do it. But a date usually looks neat, looks not neat hair. Basically, she looks good. Moving on. How do we decide whether to date you or whether you'll just be a fling? Remember, that's the question. So let's assume we're at the club and I spot you. If we're not trying to, if you're not trying to dance with every other guy around, maybe flirting with every other guy around, you're pretty good to go. You're set. That's a guarantee. I'm not looking for the over the top lady, the one who's all over the place with everybody else. No, definitely not. That's not a keeper. That's not a date. That's a fling, if it even happens, because we don't mind flings not once in a while, sometimes, if I'm not in a serious relationship. But if you want to be considered actual dateable material, so just stick to the a lady who just behaves a little bit better, not dancing or grinding on everybody else. Just to put it out there. So most guys basically just want the lady who's they don't want the lady who's too open for everybody. That we tend to lose interest pretty fast. We're thinking if any guy can just go ahead and have you, why should I want you? Why should I want any of that? I mean, if anybody can just come in and get pique your interest just like that, doesn't have a good ring to it. So I don't want the girl who anyone can date or have. No, I want the one who has limits or a taste or a type. People, especially other guys, but it doesn't mean they should be free to do whatever with you. Just have limits on what other guys or other people can do with you. Just set some limits. That's all we ask for. Just don't be out there free on like whatever happens, whatever goes, whoever wants to have fun, come right along and have it. No. So I'm not saying you should be all tied up and not having fun. You guys can hug, drink, whatever, maybe even, let's say we're hanging out, right? In a club, you can leave our table and go hang out with other guys or friends. Maybe some of them are usually friends, people you know. But the moment you guys start gyrating on them, grinding on them and dancing and all that, you guys are getting down, is the moment we forget about you. From that point on, you don't necessarily come off as dateable material. You fall into the category of flings because we can't see us keeping you for that long because it's basically not going to happen. I mean, you already proven it that you basically belong to everybody else, just to put it out there. So probably not a good way to go. Think about it. I think most ladies also don't want a guy who goes around doing all of that. I won't backpedal. I said it. I'll stick to it. All right, moving on. Most of us, guys, men, want a lady with a little bit of class. What do I mean by class? A woman who handles herself properly stands much higher chances of being someone most men want to keep or most men want to have. Why? Because she knows who she is. She has a level of standard. Like, not anybody can just come around and play with her or do that kind of stuff. No, she knows who she is. Let me explain that. Also on class, high heels, short skirts, no problem. We love that, but that's not necessarily what I'm going for. I just mean somebody who does not play with anybody. Not just whoever approaches you, you're all good and all that. No. You can be kind. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be rude, but just don't how can I put it? Just don't go around accepting or like playing around with everybody. Just have some standards, have limits on who can just approach you and just come out there and we don't want that. Stay in the clear. All right. Yeah, you can always just have a way of communicating or standing your ground. If don't just accept everybody and anybody. You can always put your foot down, say, "No, I'm not interested," and tell them off nicely. Yeah, I don't mean you shout or cause a lot of commotion and all that. No, not really. So, just if we are working together, just don't date everyone in the office. Word goes round, and soon enough, no one wants anything serious with you because they've all heard the stories of. No, just don't do that. That's a fling. I can have that as a fling. Somebody who's gone around. You might not have slept with everybody, but you've been basically dating with every other guy. So there's just about nothing special about it. And no one wants to commit to that. Basically, if I do that, if I commit to you, I'll be the laughing stock. Not that I care what people think, but obviously there's a message there. She's been doing it. So you're just joining the crew. Not cool. So, men respect a woman who knows what she wants and sends out a clear-cut message when she's not interested. We find that hot. We find that sexy. If the office jerk or the clown he's always trying to pursue you, you know he's not being serious, he's just fooling around, or maybe he's actually being serious, call him out. Tell him no. We get a huge laugh from that. I'm not saying being rude, but you know what I'm saying. Just cut it out. Don't let every other guy who thinks they can do that do it. No, not cool. If, however, you flirt with most everyone else, but always seem to pull back when approached, word still goes around. You get what I'm saying? If at the end of the day you still flirt with everybody else and just pull back, like almost like you're playing games with something, word still travels. And what guys hear, they get the message. Oh, she just loves pulling the strings. Yeah, so still, just find a balance. If you're not interested, cut it out. If you are interested, just don't string them around, or just don't string him around. Yeah, just be straight. Because some guys just assume you're just flirting, and maybe that's just who you are. You just flirt, and let them know, or you know, show him you appreciate the attention, but you're just not interested. They'll have more respect, or will have more respect for you, and understand that, oh, that's just, she's not interested, or she was just flirting, she's just being friendly. That's her way of being friendly. Even though maybe you both go out, you dance with guys, or you dance with other guys and all that, he knows who you are. He'll understand, oh, she's just friendly with people, she's just not friendly, right? She's flirtatious. And if he likes that, no problem. But if it gets to a level where he thinks you're being too serious, or you were just playing him or being stringing him around, probably chances are he'll put you in the fling category. I do that. Quite frankly, I wouldn't even have much to do with you apart from dating. Probably not, because I've realized, I'll probably think or realize that you love stringing men around, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere close to that, especially in a place where I'm emotionally connected. I don't want to have a broken heart. Probably not. I'll try and protect it in the meantime. Moving on. This is not about me. This is about you. So, if I'm attracted to you, that just means I probably want to date you. Otherwise, unless you keep pushing it, like almost insisting too much, it might just end up being a fling. Why? Because I mentioned it maybe in a different podcast. We don't want too much pressure. We don't want it too much, like pressure and everything. Sometimes we just want things to fall in place, like the dominoes, something like that. So there's no getting it wrong. When a man is interested in you sexually, he'll do everything the same way he would do it with a friend, even though you may probably work at the same place. I mean, let me break it down here. When we're interested in a woman, if I'm talking to you, I'll hold my gaze a little bit longer. There's no getting this twisted. There's no getting this wrong. If you just get these simple basic steps. If I'm interested, and usually you've seen guys who are interested in you, they look at you a little bit longer. I'm not talking about glaring or just staring, like staring at the cosmos or something, or in blank space. No, they'll probably hold your gaze a little bit longer, probably smiling. I'll hold the gaze with someone I like a little bit longer than someone I'm not interested in. If he cuts eye contact with you, or if he gives you just a friendly smile and maybe a nod, he's probably not thinking much about it. He's just being polite. A lady I'm interested in, I'll keep my gaze. It's probably smile, maybe not nod. I might even wink, probably a friendly wink, nothing sexual at the moment. But if I'm talking about somebody I'm not interested in, the message will be pretty clear. I mean, I might be smiling, but I'll not keep establish eye contact for that long. I'll break it off. Why? Because I need to send a clear message. I'm not interested. She might be interested, but I'm putting it out there. I'm just not interested. I mean, a nod is usually meant for fellow men, like saying hello. So getting a nod from a lady, from a man, and you're a lady, I don't think he's interested. Probably not. He's just being polite and sending you off in a nice way. I might be wrong, but I'm probably right based on what I do. If I'm nodding, unless you ask me a question and I'm nodding, no, probably not. If I'm interested, I stare. I don't stare. Sorry, I gaze. like lovingly looking at you because I'm getting your attention. Smile. Yeah. And then probably follow up with probably approaching you or something of the sort. Or maybe I might even hold it a little bit longer and then look down at whatever I'm drinking or eating. That's just my way of saying I'm probably interested. And I'm giving myself enough time to get enough courage to approach you and all that. So I'm probably interested. And this might be, actually, this probably more than a fling, more than just a fling. With flings, we don't put much effort to, quite frankly. We just don't put much effort. If it's just about a fling, we don't really put a lot of work into it. We just let our boy's charm do all the work. We're not really thinking much about whether we love you or not. It's not such a big deal. Remember I mentioned if it's a fling. But if I'm thinking there are chances I'm going to date you, I'll probably put a lot more effort into it. And so I'm holding the gaze because I'm loving it, because I'm enjoying it. Otherwise, I wouldn't waste so much time. Definitely not. Moving on. Most of us have learned the hard way to stay away from the over-friendly girls. Remember I mentioned about the office lady who might be a little bit too friendly or a little bit too flirtatious with everyone else, or the one who loves dancing with every other man in the club? That's what I'm talking about. Over-friendly. If a girl is over-friendly, especially with other guys, we might not consider keeping them for the long term. That's where she ends up as a fling. And most of them are actually, that's what they're looking for. That's what they're projecting. And basically, the law of action and reaction, that's what usually they end up having. We tend to favor ladies who know when to like say what they want, principled. Yeah, with regards to let me say that, let me put that different. We favor ladies who are principled, who know what they want. When they're getting attention from men, she knows how to act. She knows if she's not interested, like I mentioned, she'll just cut it out and stop it. She doesn't just go for the ride like being taken for a ride by any other man. We want to see a lady who knows how to take charge, and we don't really have to step in like in a friendly way or to cut it off. No, she should be to a certain level capable of cutting it out herself. Personally, a short story. I dated a girl and a male friend of mine. I dated a girl and a male friend of a friend who I barely knew met us while hanging out. So a male friend of mine introduced another male friend. So he's a friend of a friend. I don't really know him. We didn't quite connect, but a friend of a friend is supposed to be a friend. So yeah. So long story short, we met with a guy a few months or weeks later with a lady friend of mine. So on meeting, so we meet him while we're hanging out with a lady friend, right? So this friend of a friend had the guts to try and hit on her. Can you imagine that? He tried hitting on her. I don't even know where he went. Actually, later he went and took my friend's phone and got her number because he's just that messed up. He's just that messed up. So he had the guts to try and hit on her and all that. But good thing she was a classy, sexy, straight lady. Being the classy, sexy, straight lady she was, she called him out, told me and told my friend, and he had never been more embarrassed. So you see what I'm saying? A lady who, even though I don't know what's happening, she had the guts and the principles to call it out. She won't let such things just slide, whether I'm there or not. She won't do that. So that's what most of us want. That's how we keep you for the longest time, because it's loyalty. Not even the longest time. Like, that's definitely a keeper. She's somebody you want to date for the long term. This is not a fling. A fling would have just taken happy to get the attention from the other dude and probably went ahead and played around and then come back crying and saying, oh, this happened, I'm sorry. So we don't have time for that. We don't want none of that. I don't know any guy who wants to be having that kind of a relationship. So to put it out there, don't do that. So she called him out, and it was awesome because he just we had to cut ties with him completely. He had gone to the extent of trying to flirt, text everything he could, including telling her how much he loved her and how much they belonged together. I mean, really, along with reasons why he was even giving the lady reasons why I wasn't the right guy for her. This guy barely knew me. And he's giving out reasons. Oh, he's not good for you with this thing, for this reason or that reason. That's just plain disrespectful. Good thing she called him out. So, all right, I think we can move on from that. I hope you got the message from that, right? It's just that we love somebody who knows what she's doing, and she's not afraid to be who she is. Principled, knows the difference between having fun and socializing, and when to call out a guy who wants or tries to be disrespectful. Remember, she knows when to call them out. She's not being rude, no. She knows the difference between having fun and socializing, because that guy was obviously not trying to have fun or socializing. He can't say that. He was trying to be disrespectful. She wouldn't go out chatting with some other guy, or I know some ladies who do that. So she just wasn't that kind of a person. So how do we know which one's a fling and which one's a keeper? Back to the question. I'll observe how you act around others. This means usually around, not just around other females, not around other ladies. Usually it's around other guys. The touchy type, or allowing guys too much touchy with you is a red alert. Huge red alert with alarms and all that. To stay away from you. Right? I mean, you too much touching. No. Especially with strangers or guys we just met, or in the clubs usually, because that's the most social place I can think of. Because in a cafe, you don't really get that touchy with people, but social setting like a club definitely happens. So a joke here and there, that's no problem. You're just having fun, making light of whichever moment we might be having. But with some ladies, you just know what the future has in store for you. I mean, she goes overboard to be touchy and feely. Yeah, so no, that's just a road down a lot of heartbreaks and ending apologies. So we love ladies who have boundaries. And don't just allow random people, especially males, to just step all over you or step all over the relationship. Call them out. You're smarter. So we don't have to keep pointing out, oh, that's not cool. You are too touchy-feely with the guy. No. You should realize, you should be smart enough to realize when that's happening. And that's the difference between a fling and a date. All right, let's move on. A fling doesn't have to be respectful. She can say whatever she wants or do whatever she wants. Most guys really are not really paying that much attention to her, or they just really don't care that much, because at the end of the day, she's just a fling. There's no future ahead with him or her, so they're not really thinking much about that. But a man, some guys may keep her around just for the sex, basically, but would never keep her for anything more. Oh, yeah. So a date or a woman who wants to stay in such a relationship is generally respectful. She respects the guy and knows how to communicate, and she doesn't just say things without thinking about what are the repercussions. Am I putting it the best way? Am I hurting his feelings by saying this? You should always find a better way to communicate. Euphemism if you have to, expressing a harsh fact gently. So yeah, if all or most of what you do is just shoot him down, say negative stuff about him and try to put him down all the time, think about it. Why would he want to be around you? Or he'd probably even rather be alone than be with you. So yeah, think about that too. A good lady, a dateable lady, is not always negative. You might point something out, but not completely all the time negative, complaining. The fling, she can do what she wants. She's basically negative. She thinks she can always have her way. She doesn't know how to communicate properly, uses foul language and all that. Basically, that's what I mean. And remember, when we are drunk, we make foolish decisions. So this one, you might have to count it out. These are the only exceptions. When we are drunk, we we might make some decisions that we might regret later on in the morning. So at such times, any lady is a good lady. I might assume, oh, she's dateable. Oh, she's not just a fling. I'm gonna be dating her, but I'm still not thinking about having her forever. Why? Because I'm probably drunk. I mean, in clubs and such environments, that's not the kind of place we go meet people we want to spend the rest of our lives with. It's a nightclub, drinks, alcohol, dancing, and all that. Probably not. The places we go looking for people to date are completely different. Once in a while, I know some guys who've dated people they met in clubs and have gone ahead to have really awesome weddings and lives and kids and families. But those, in most cases, the ladies we pick up in clubs are usually flings, and it's natural. It just happens because some of those ladies are not really looking for a real relationship. They're in there for the fun of it and flings. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I know some of you will, but that's usually the case. Not always, but usually. That's because alcohol just gets us thinking, oh, we are having fun, nothing's happening. And by the time it's early in the morning, when you got your senses back, you realize, oh, maybe not. This is not what I wanted. This is not what I was looking for. I mean, it would take a lot to move from the one-nighter from the club to you just picked up girl at night, and then in the morning to you guys are dating now, to marriage and everything. Doesn't always end like that. I mean, reality settles within days of being around each other when you start finding out things you don't like about the other person. And that's because you're trying something that wasn't meant to be. You probably weren't going to the club planning to date somebody. Excuse me. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to the club to get a date. It might happen once in a while, but not always. Definitely not. Alrighty then, let's move on. If I have a reason to believe a girl might be a cheater in the future, she'll definitely 100% be a fling. I'll definitely have her only as a fling. That's true. Those are just the basic facts. We don't always know, but time and truth catches up with both of us. And it's if you just catch a whiff of cheating or such interests, it's more than enough to get us moving as far away from that lady as possible. It's easy to know sometimes, not always, a lady who has the tendencies to cheat. I mean, she'll be the touchy one I mentioned before. She might be a little too friendly with everybody else, even with the same group of men, the same crew. Yeah, so, and some guys, sometimes I might mention, I don't know about her. And sometimes you can also just get a feeling. Yeah, hunches, I know. We don't always rely on hunches, but once in a while, there's a good reason we have those hunches. We've built them up with experience since we were born. There's a reason that they're out there. I don't say you should always rely on hunches, but once in a while, they tend to prove pretty effective at determining or finding out what might just happen in the future, predicting what might happen. So, yeah, that's something to think about. But if I have a reason to believe she might not be straight or she might be a cheat in the future, she's definitely going in the fling bucket, not in the dateable or dating bucket, if we have such a bucket, so to say. And moving on, if we happen to connect, I mean, we are making probably similar decisions. There's that connection between us. I'm finding you pleasing to be around, which is just about 99.9% of all women. They're usually pleasing to be around, especially if I found you attractive and you probably showed interest. It just means there's a connection. We got something going on. I'm probably planning on dating. If I felt that, we're probably planning on dating. Most guys are already intoxicated with you. If you've gotten to that point where you guys are interested and all that, if they're spending time with you and doing their best to take care of you, even in their own small ways, like inviting you out for lunch, calling to make sure you got home, maybe after a date or just after work, whether you work together or not, that's someone who's obviously emotionally invested in you. Or maybe I just find that I think or have thought about it and I realize we could have a future together, basically dating, and then, of course, time always tells. So it doesn't have, I'm not necessarily talking about marriage, it doesn't have to be marriage, because that just happens with time. It means I just say promise. Basically, we click. All right. I don't know much about chemistry. I mean, guys say, oh, we got chemistry, we got all that. I don't know much about that. But what I know is we can be absolute opposites. She might be loud, because naturally I'm naturally a little bit quiet, so she might be loud. She might have many male friends, but keeps them just as that as friends, right? So and personally, I don't. Meanwhile, I don't have a lot of female friends. Maybe just one or two, but that doesn't mean that just because we are basically the exact opposite of each other, it doesn't mean that we won't click. No, that doesn't mean that we won't click. We can be absolute opposites, but completely attracted to each other, and sometimes that's the best version. That's the best way. Like poles, you know the rules, right? Like unlike poles, yeah. So sometimes it just feels right. We might not be similar or have similarities in behavior and personalities and all that, but it just feels right. We enjoy each other. We probably even appreciate the two different personalities. So realize that, just realize that it's probably, I probably just want to experience something different, right? And usually sometimes the connection just stays there, and it becomes even better than trying to look for somebody who you think you have a lot in common with. If, for example, a guy is not that outgoing but meets a completely, absolutely an extrovert who's just out there and in love with the world, he loves doing it with her. He loves doing whatever she loves because he's experiencing it through her. Quite frankly, she pulls him out of his shell because he wants to do things that he never thought would be fun, and not because he loves them. It's just because she makes it okay for him to do it. He finds it easier or better when he's doing it with her. Otherwise, he probably would have never even considered doing some of the things he'll find himself doing with her. And it all depends on how much she loves it and seems to get a lot of pleasure from doing it. If I realize, for example, she loves bungee jumping, that's a little extreme, but let's go with that for a while. If I realize she loves it and I'm very much interested in her and she really insists on that we should just try together, it might not be natural for me to try doing something like that. Those heights and falling and all that, the thrill that comes with it, she loves it, so I'll probably try it. I might not feel the same thrill, but hopefully with time I'd come to love it because she loves it. So I'm basically trying to see the world from her eyes, the way she sees it and the way she feels it. That's a good thing because you're both challenging each other to do something different, growing with each other, and it's in the same, and in the process you're improving each other. Like I mentioned before about improving, it doesn't always have to be about you doing what you think is best. Sometimes you go out and try something different. You never know what might come out of it. You might love it, you might not like it. At the end of the day, you can go back to who you are. It doesn't matter. So I think we can move on from that. I mentioned the chemistry. Yeah, that's all right. All right. So we don't need to be the reason. For most guys, just the fact that you're having fun. This is somebody I'm considering already dating, right? Not because I mentioned just because we're opposites doesn't mean she has to be a fling. No, that happens to be. She definitely would happen to be a date. Yeah, even though we have different interests and we want to experience life differently. So usually with most guys, they just want their dates or their girlfriends to be happy, giggling, laughing. Especially if we happen to be there to experience it, we don't want to be the reason. We don't have to be the reason you're cracking up or the reason you're so full of life, happy. But just being around you as you experience such feelings is quite fulfilling. It's quite thrilling for us. What matters is basically that you're having fun, and that's what most guys like. And that's what most guys want, to put it that way. What matters is you're having fun and you're happy. Most of us just tend to go along with it. And next point, why would I consider you a date rather than a fling? Or why would I consider you a fling rather than a date? Some of us tend to judge the first few dates or interactions with you as a clear snapshot of what the future holds. Yeah, if you seem, remember, this is the very first date or the first interaction. If you seem a little pushy, just a little bit too much for comfort, almost in a whiny, complaining way, maybe moody, we don't want to have you around, especially the moody kind. Most of us come with a clean slate, or at least that's what we try and paint. Basically, it's what with us, with most of us, with most men, is what I mean by clean slate is what you see is what you get. So we tend to have the assumption that is the same with you. What we see is what we get. If the first interaction shows a picture of you being a little pushy, moody, stuff like that, we assume that's actually who we are. We are not thinking maybe you had a rough day or something. No, we're just assuming that's who she is. So in the future, none of us wants to be having that or have to deal with that. No matter how attractive we found you the first time, the interaction gives us a clearer, better picture of who you are. So maybe putting your best foot forward might not be such a bad thing after all. That's considering that's how I might decide whether you'll be a date or just a fling. And I don't even see how we can work out to be a fling if I'm already not liking the person I'm finding out you to be. So probably not. Yeah, so we assume the same thing. That's why first impressions sometimes matter. Judging a book by its cover, yeah, sometimes. Yeah, but it depends on the occasion or the place and all that. So I remember I was once introduced to a girl by a female friend. She was dressed in a provocative yet classy clothes, attire, or classy way. I mean, her back and her tummy showed in the clear light of day. Under the bright sun, she was bubbly, but yet she kept her distance. She kept me in a very friendly way. I mean, I was not friend zoned, but she behaved in a very friendly, more normal manner. She didn't try to hack the daylights out of me. So somebody else might have seen the way she's dressed and assumed, oh, she's this kind of a girl. That's wrong. Doesn't work like that. So she was basically being who she is. Just because she was dressed a certain way, that didn't mean that's who she is. So regardless of how someone else might have assumed based on how she was dressed, her mannerism told me she was worth keeping. You see what I'm saying? Just like I said, we judge a book by its cover. It doesn't mean by how she's dressed or how she looks like. It's that first interaction, what we read from her, reading into her. So you see here, what I got was the interaction. So it told me she was worth keeping. Why? You ask why? Because of the way she carried herself like a lady. Might have given me a compliment and we exchanged numbers, but she didn't act like we knew each other like the way I knew her friend, like as if we knew each other for years and all that. No, she was just normal, like, oh, I just met him. He's been introduced to me by a friend of his and a friend of mine, mutual friend. So, and it went on naturally. We got to know each other with time. Nothing forced. She didn't come out all extra friendly because that would have kind of made me stop right there dead in my tracks, like, whoa. I remember I mentioned that's a red signal when if she had tried to be a little too friendly or just be natural. With her, it was very much natural, so we got to know each other with time, and it was awesome. It was good. Would I want to have a baby with her after the first meeting? No, we just met. That's not what I'm talking about. It would obviously take a while and getting to know each other, but one thing was for sure, I wanted to be with her. After that first interaction, I wanted to spend a little bit of more time with her. She was beautiful, dressed pretty nicely with a beautiful flat tummy exposed, which I found highly titillating and exciting. She was not what most girls or ladies were, quite frankly. I mean, the way she was dressed, that I hadn't seen any or most of the rest of the girls with their tummies out like that, regardless of how short the other girls' skirts were. And guess what? She actually had pants. She didn't even have like any short skirts. If you want to go, if you think that's what she had, no. So not much skin to show in her like legs, but her confidence in herself and what she was wearing was more than enough. I wanted to date her, not have a fling with her, regardless of how she was dressed the first time. Ultimately, I knew she was just being herself and knew how to demand respect. How, again, do you ask me, how was she demanding respect? When the first time we met, the first interaction, I did not go jumping on her as if I knew her. No, she kept her distance. We interacted in a very friendly way. Why? Because it's the first interaction. So she knew how to control the situation. Pretty much just like I know how to be generally a gentleman, not to go out there jumping around and trying to get kisses and hugs and all that. And it was all good and friendly. So she expected me to act the right way, and everything basically fell in place in good time. Despite the way she dressed, she let every other man know she was not interested. That really lit me up. I love that. I mean, because she knew I'm interested and she was interested too. She let everybody else know, like, hey, I'm not interested. In a friendly way, no problem. And just made them feel like, hey, I'm here with them. So the rest of you just chill. Regardless of how they saw her, because sexy, beautiful looking girl. Everybody wants a piece and all that. So yeah, she drew the line. So guess what? At that time, or something else. At that time, what I wanted to mention first was that I liked the fact that she did not let other guys try and play around. No way. She was just like, I'm not doing that. Definitely not. Oh, and coming back to the point, I said, and guess what? At that time, I mostly dated taller girls, but she was shorter than most of the girls had dated before because it was just a personal preference. But after I started dating her, I saw girls differently. I started dating shorter girls. I didn't care because she just made me open up to dating different types of girls that I hadn't thought about before because the confidence in herself and the way she carried herself, it was just completely different, intoxicating. So sometimes it feels right, it just feels right. Like you've been looking for her without even knowing that you were looking for her. You just find somebody and you find the qualities you find you didn't even know those are the qualities you wanted, just extra qualities, things you never thought about. So she was more than I ever wanted. And I loved it. Moving on. Don't forget the question. The question is, what would make me date one girl and assume and not date another? Or why would I date one girl and fling another? What makes the difference between a man wanting to date a girl, or choosing to have her as just a fling instead of actually dating her? So if you get into talking about your exes that early during the first interactions or later interactions before you guys are actually dating, probably even later in the relationship, we're just out. We might as well call it quits. Why? Why? If I'm interested in you, I don't want to hear about your exes or your previous boyfriends or whatever you were doing before that with your male partners. We're just not interested. We don't like it, quite frankly. We just hate it, despise it. Whichever word you want to use for it, put it in there. Man, I'm just not interested in hearing about some other guys. Really. We're just not interested. We have male friends. Why would I be interested in hearing about any other man on the other? We're on the same planet. I have no interest in them. The only exemption is your dad, your brother, uncle, grandpa, your family, your previous relationships just don't matter to us. Keep that to yourself. Please, if possible, keep it to yourself. It has nothing to do with us feeling like, no, we just don't find the point. We just don't realize why we need to listen to that. Unless, as I mentioned, it's one of your relatives. That one we can cope with that. We can listen. any other man, we really don't care about that. So actually talking about them just leaves a bad taste in our mouth. I mean, if you're both just starting out, it kills any chance of the relationship going further. The best you can have is a fling, not a relationship. If that's what you're looking for, then go for it. Talk about your exes all you want, but all you'll get from it is a fling. Because he'll just put up with it because you're not dating. But if you're dating, he'll probably want a lot much more from you, and he won't be expecting you to be talking about your exes. Yeah, so remember that that's a huge decisive factor between whether we choose to date or we just choose to have you as a fling or just as a friend. Also, if you want to be friend zoned, bring out the exes. Just put it on the table and talk all about it. It kills any good feelings we might be having. We just see it differently. So your ex might, it doesn't matter, it might have been Denzel Washington or Brad Pitt or Chris Brown. It doesn't matter if it doesn't even matter if he's the prince or a prince from one of those super wealthy countries with billions in dollars in the bank, oil money, whatever it might be. We simply don't care. All the girls I dated never mentioned their exes, and those who did or might have tried that just left me feeling kind of bad for them. Plus, I didn't want to be with them. Although, one, it got me into that. Like, I'd call them out. If they did that, I'd just, like, call it out. Because it's kind of disrespectful, if I might say that. Not that we feel disrespected, but it just doesn't make sense to us. Just one that I remember trying to share something about one of the exes, but I wasn't really feeling it. I wasn't into that. I was like, well, no, I have male friends and ex-girlfriends. You don't see me doing that, so no. Moving on. If I feel completely comfortable with the lady and I don't mind being seen with her or showing her off, I definitely want to date her. That's guaranteed. But if I'm trying to hide her, why would I be hiding her? I mean, ask yourself, why would a man be trying to hide a lady or a girl if he's interested in her? If he's interested, he's not trying to hide her. If anything, he wants to put her out there for the world to see. If I don't feel like I would want my friends to meet her or I don't want to introduce her to my friends, I'm definitely not planning on dating her. That's just a fling or something like that. If I can say, hey, meet my friend Jackie, or I mean, if I have such a lady and I meet my friends, I'll just say, hey, meet my friend Jackie, or any other name, depending on what her name is. But unfortunately, it might take a while to know whether the guy is actually willing to show you out. But remember, his interest in you or lack of it, the gaze can always tell. You can always tell if he's actually that interested. So it's not all about looks. I mean, looks doesn't, and when I'm talking about looks, it just doesn't mean the face. No, it's the person. When we say men are visual creatures, it does not mean we're just attracted to the faces. No, it's the whole body, the total package. Some guys like this type of bodies, others like that. That's just the way we are. Basically, the programming. So the personality comes second. The personality comes second. It's like a bar test, basically. Did I find her? So we start. If it's a bar test, if we take it like a bar test, it starts first with the let's say the body first. I see her first, right? So am I attracted? Yes. Tick. Check. All right. Let's move on. So step 2, number 1, did she pass the first test? You're obviously attracted. You go to step 2, the personality, and this is quite frankly where everything. This is the deal breaker right here. Because if her personality is just, how can I put it? If it's absolutely not what you're interested in, it cancels everything else. You're attracted physically, no problem. You love the way she's dressed, the hair, the body, the face, the lips, and all that. Maybe it might even be the dress she's wearing in a club, showing what she has in all her beauty. Then I see her crew. By her crew, I mean the guys she's with or the guys she came in with. So I'm like, well, hell no. Why? Because I've just found out your personality. I didn't have to dig deep into you or take 5 minutes getting to know you? No. Based on the people you're hanging out with, it's quite a telltale sign of who you are. I mean, don't they say that the average of the 5 people you hang out with? I might have mentioned that before, maybe in a different podcast, maybe not. But if I didn't, if you see a hot-looking lady, I'll use the club again. She comes in a club with those. She looks good. She looks awesome and all that. But then you spot her crew, all the people she's hanging out with, and it happens to be a crazy group of guys, men, generally. If it's not the kind of crew I'd click with or I'd make friends with, I don't really need to talk to her. The attractiveness level and everything else I thought about, it just goes all the way down. I'm not interested anymore. So, remember, the personality is what keeps us there. Attractive but bad. Let me say that again. Attractive but bad personality is a huge no. Just like that. Average looks but awesome or striking personality, yeah, that's a guaranteed yes. Yeah, so don't go saying, oh, I got the looks. No, personality matters. If you're thinking about dating, if it's a fling, oh, the personality doesn't really matter that much. I mean, the guy is out there for just one thing, if that's a fling, and he's not there for the personality. But if it's a date thing, personality matters. It's a huge factor. Moving on, sexual chemistry. Yeah, this is when we talk about chemistry. I know I brushed it off before, but that's because we were actually coming to it at this point. Chemistry, before, when I was talking about chemistry, I was talking about how you guys relate. But in this case, it's actual sexual chemistry. Yeah, so what matters is, how is it? What are we talking about? How did it feel? Did we connect? Did I feel satiated or satisfied? Doesn't seem like so. Does it seem like you did anything crazy? It just means it felt good. What I'm talking about here, sexual chemistry. I mean, when we did it, how did it feel? And remember, sex usually plays a role, a huge role, quite frankly, because it's a huge part of dating. Well, I mean, for me and most other guys I know, there's some who just want to remain celibate until marriage, but I'm not one of them. Something to add on that. If I had two girls to choose and I found both their personalities to be good or something I can work with or something I like, but it just happens that I only had sex with one of them, guess who I'd choose? Think about it. They both have two personalities. Same, might not be the same, but I like their personalities. And I happen to just have sex with one of them. Maybe the other one wasn't ready, or maybe she has beliefs, or she's following something like the 3-month wait period. Believe me, I've heard about that. So, quite frankly, who you think I'm going to take? Or I'm going to decide to date? I'd rather pick the one I just had sex with, or the one I already had sex with. The other one with the 3-month wait period and all that, no, I'm not interested in that. Why am I keeping the one I had sex with? Why is that? Unless the other one's a virgin and wants to wait until marriage, I'm not interested in waiting. Quite definitely, she'll get somebody else. There are guys who want that, there are guys who are into that, but I'm into the one I just had relations with. Why? Because we are connecting. I mean, I'm willing to work on us being an item. And if we end up getting married in the future, I'll be more than glad. Again, I don't do something. No, not I. Again, I wanna just put this out there. Don't do something you don't feel like, or you don't wanna do it. Trust your instincts. Some guys are just out there for the sex. Don't forget that. Just because I want a girl who I'm making sure like we'll have it, it doesn't excuse me. It doesn't mean that you should do the same. If it's me and you say you're not ready, it's all right. I don't mind. There are girls who are like that, and I understand that, but I just want, and I hope, and obviously you'll get the right guy for you, but I'll move on. You'll definitely get the right guy. The sex does not quite seal the deal. I'm doing it because I was interested the first time. I mean, for us to get to that level, it just means I was interested and I was attracted to you first. So it's not the sex that convinces or seals the deal that a man wants to date you rather than just be a fling. It's not about that. But don't count it out, especially if he's interested in you so far. So it doesn't mean that that's the defining factor, like whether I'll date or I'll just like have you as a fling. No, it's not the main factor, but it does play a huge role. So, ladies, sex is how we connect with you. I'm talking about a woman and a man in a relationship, or those starting off in a relationship. I'm not talking about some random people. No, I'm talking about guys who are actually, in this case, I'm talking about guys who are in an ongoing relationship. Sex is usually how guys connect with you, since you guys have probably been going on together for a while. So it's how he keeps it going. It makes him feel good, quite frankly. But I'll explain that. It's not just about feeling good, of course, not just physically. I mean mentally. It's a connection, and it matters a lot. It's been thrown around a lot. That, oh man, just interested in sex. Ladies, sex is how we connect. I'm talking about guys who are actually in having something good going for them. That's how they keep it going. And we are lost. If it's not there, we don't feel the connection. So we try to keep it that way. So once it starts falling off or has been failing and we don't feel the connection, we are just lost trying to find you, or the you we love, or the you we had, we love. Yeah, just to put it like that. Again, there are no exceptions. Not really. Oh yeah, some exceptions, like maybe a lady's sick or having an illness resulting to a period of going without sex in such situations. However, this is a huge however, if we are both healthy, please, no excuses. No excuses for that. You can't count it out. Unless, yeah. So basically, no. Moving on. What is the difference, or why would I decide to date one lady and not another? Why would I keep one as a date or decide she's worthy being a date for a long-term relationship, or just as a fling? Let's talk about being natural. By that, I mean no mind games, like not, the kind of mind games I'm talking about when people are dating or starting to date, like trying to make me jealous, those little games that was supposed to have ended in grade school, not trying to play hard to get. I've heard all that. I mean, I've heard it's a thing, but thanks gracious, I've never met anyone who tried any of that. I've just heard about it. Like waiting until the third ring to pick up a call. I mean, have you heard about that? Like when a man calls you, you're supposed to wait, keep him waiting until the third ring so you can call, so you don't appear desperate or something. No, come on. Not really. Ladies, don't listen to all that stuff. Like all that advice from dating experts. Yeah, there are some real experts out there, I know. But some of them just do not know what they're talking about. They don't know anything about men. We just love real women. And we can tell if you cancel on a date for a good reason, it's all right. I mean, with a good reason. If, however, you just play around, oh, I just don't feel like it, most guys are down with you already. Most of them. Because most of us just want to date women, not girls. Huge difference. Women know who they are. Girls are yet to figure out, and that's why there's someone for everybody. Boys for girls, men for women. It doesn't matter the age, it usually happens. And I know, or I'm thinking some guy or some lady might call me out, hey, who are you to define who a woman is? Who are you to define who a girl is? Remember, it's not the dictionary definition. That's just my definition or my way of looking at it based on this particular topic, not on every other topic. On this particular topic, a lady knows who she is. She acts on her instinct or in her natural way. She doesn't wait for expert or pundits to tell her, oh, if you do this, you're supposed to keep him for this long. Don't pick up on the first call or on the first ring. No. You know better. You've already experienced it. You're mature enough, so you know better than that. Same thing with most men. They don't just, well, hopefully they don't just go following anybody's advice. Mind you, you just think about it and see how it applies, because it's just coming straight from a man. Moving on, communication. Communication matters. If I'm thinking about whether we're going to be dating or if you'll just be a fling. Why do I say it matters? I'll probably be the one calling you, right? Most of the time, the guy's the one calling the lady, especially when you guys just started dating, although even afterwards, it still follows the same pattern. So it's what men do, it's what we do. So, however, once in a while, you might call, right? If you want to like cancel a date or something, or an appointment we had, or if you want to make a different arrangements, or for any other reason you might have. But some of us are looking at what we'll have in the future. If it seems like it's all games, like we'd rather go out looking for somebody else, as always. What I mean by that, if it seems like games in terms of communication, is if I'm trying to call and you just don't want to communicate. Because I've heard some guys saying the more you communicate, if you stay away, if you try to avoid communicating with him, or he misses you more, or he wants to be with you more. No, communication really matters. So don't try to keep that distance, or not picking up calls, or not replying to messages or emails for weeks. You can do that if you're not interested, but not because somebody told you that's how to keep a man or how to make him go crazy. I've heard about that. No, it doesn't really work like that. That's nothing. It doesn't work. He'll just think you're playing, of course. Some of us already used to it. We've seen it happen, or we've heard about it. So we'll just like, we'll be like, what's going on? Basically, most of us just assume you're not interested. That's why you're not picking up. And we stop calling or sending emails or whatever else. So, not really. But remember, there are some guys who might be awesome communicators when you guys are starting out, flooding you with attention because they only want one thing, the sex. And some maybe even your money. So the good guys on the other hand, they are doing it because they know you're a woman and they want to shower you with attention because it's just who you are and they want to do like what's best for you. Basically make you happy. But some dudes, I'll call them dudes. So some dudes will use it in a different way just to get the sex. So they'll show attention and communicate and all that, but they're not really serious about it. So I mean, if that's the problem with finding out whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, remember there are always exceptions. Most of us are communicating because we're actually interested. Some of them are communicating, giving you the impression they want to actually date, that they're serious about it, but all in all, they simply want a fling. So think about that. Consider that too. It doesn't apply to everybody. Remember, there are always exceptions. The players, yeah, the so-called bad boys and all that. Next. I wasn't even counting. I don't know why I'm just about to start counting right now. So the next one is when a woman is vocal. Vocal, like voicing her opinion. That's what I mean, in a good way. So how does a woman being vocal or expressing her opinions determine whether I decide to keep her as a date or as a fling? Think about it. This is what I mean. When she's vocal in a good way, that is, this means she'll help me make the decision if I want to date her or not. Is because I've heard ladies who are okay with flings and went on that way and just were okay with it. They didn't have a problem. Some of them were really actually hoping that the guy would change his mind. But remember, some of these guys, they just roll with it. If they think a fling is, which most of them are happy with just a fling, they'll go with it. I mean, they're getting the sex, so if that's all they're interested in, they'll probably not have a problem with it. However, others are actually interested in something more. So sometimes it doesn't really hurt if you actually voice your opinion and let him know, hey, I'm not only interested in just a fling. I'm actually interested in investing emotionally, like I'm interested in dating. And that, quite frankly, you're like a unicorn, because most ladies don't usually take that step. And sometimes if you don't mention it, he might assume you're in for the fling. Letting him know that you're interested in a relationship is not just it's not just it's, it plays a huge role. It's helpful, it's effective, because since there's a lady who told me that, like, she basically let me know that she was interested in something a little bit more, not just in a one night thing and all that. And since I was already attracted to her, obviously, because we went out together. I mean, we had a whole night together, so obviously I was attracted. So I knew I wasn't going in just for fun. So she wanted something more, and we worked at it, and it worked out pretty well. So don't assume letting us know what you want will scare us off. It doesn't work. It doesn't scare us off. And if it happens to scare off a guy, great. You scared him off. You scared off the wrong guy. That's good. Because if he happens to be scared, that just means he was out there to play, to just have you as a fling. But by you letting him know that, hey, I'm not here to play, I'm not here to waste time. If that's what you want, please go get somebody else. Great. If he takes out for the whatever, if he just takes off, great. You move on and you get somebody else, right? So it's good to always speak your heart. Yeah. For most of us, considering we already had enough chemistry. Me and the lady I was talking about, we worked towards something better rather than just having a fling. And we just didn't know what we wanted, but we knew we wanted, or she knew she wanted something better, and it worked out pretty well. Also, don't think that it makes us think that you're desperate or anything. It doesn't. It just shows you're strong-minded. You know what you want out of life and out of a relationship, and quite frankly, it helps us to focus into actually building something instead of just being out there and not actually knowing what we're doing. So give it a shot. Give it a shot. It might actually end up being something better than you expected. If anything, you're gaining the most, since you get to know whether the man was worth anything, whether he was worth a grain of salt. If he won't stick around, you don't even waste your time. Beauty, you get to keep your energy and your time. You won't waste anything. It's a win-win for you. Quite frankly, you'll move on and probably get a better guy, one who's actually serious. You'll always find the person you're looking for. Just don't waste your time, energy, and beauty on somebody else, somebody who's not interested or having your best interests at heart. All right, moving on. I hope I'm not moving too fast. Somebody said, "Oh man, I get you mentioned one point when it's just sinking in and then you move on." I'm like, "Oh, but remember, I gotta keep moving." But it's always, if you need, you can pause it for a while, let it sink in, let it simmer, and then move on to the next one. All right. Someone told me to ensure you keep distance and avoid him for a while. That's a lady who told me that. What do you think about that? She also says, somebody, let me read the whole the whole statement she sent. She told me, someone told me, still remember, we're on the same question of what makes us decide whether to date or to have you as a fling. So she said, someone told me to ensure I keep distance and avoid him for a while. They also said that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Is that right? So, like I mentioned before, if it's natural, it's all right. If you're not necessarily avoiding him or keeping a distance, just don't be fake. Don't try to fake it just to try those manipulative or emotional psychological games. Most guys will call you out of it, or worse, you might just lose an awesome relationship because you went out trying something that somebody thought they knew better, and they, quite frankly, most of them don't know nothing about it. Don't get swept into all that cliche stuff. No, just for the sake of it. Don't do it just for the sake of it. If you really are moving or traveling, great. It's all right. But putting a knot just for the fun of it, like saying, "Oh, I gotta go to a different city," or "I'll be moving," if it's real, like that's part of your life, all right, it's all right. But don't just pretend that that's what you're doing, just to create that distance, that void that they say will make the guy miss you more or love you more or whatever they say. No, it generally doesn't end up well. I mean, most guys can tell when a lady's playing around or doing stuff like that, and it sometimes comes across as simply immaturity, right? He'd be like, man, she's really out of it. Or it might come out as lack of interest. Excuse me. Like you just want to string him around or play around. So this is how some ladies tend to lose some really good guys and end up with the jerks and the players who love those mind games because they always are usually doing the same thing. I think I mentioned that before. So doing something, basically they're doing something to get something else, manipulation. So men, most men, that's what I mean, can tell some of these games and they'll just move on. Also remember there's a balance between staying away for too long or staying away from him and being a little too clingy and taking up all his space and time. No, too much absence is not okay, and neither is being clingy. So of course, we want to spend time, and he wants to spend time with you, but definitely not 24 hours a week, 365 days. No, probably no one wants that. Quite frankly, most ladies also don't want that. Moving on, I hope I answered that pretty well. Yeah. But if there's a different question on that, she can always reach me out or somebody else. If you have something more you need me to expound on that, just let me know. So I will date a girl. Moving on, this is a different point. On whether I date, what makes me decide whether to date or to hold her as a fling. I will date a girl who's not doing the I'm hard to get stuff. You know, that kind of stuff, that, oh, I'm hard to get, the chase and all that. Pursue. All right. I'll date a girl who's not doing any of that, rather than the one trying to appear unavailable or disinterested. There is a simple math or formula to this. Most guys usually approach a lady, most of them that is, who they seem interested. If a lady seems interested in him, he might approach. Or if he's attracted to her, and maybe based on the position he's sitting or standing, she might not have seen him. He might go try his luck. But in most cases, most of us go after somebody we've seen mutual attraction. Or we've received some sort of a reception, like invitation, like you can approach me, maybe a smile, maybe a gaze or something. So at the end of the day, being you is usually the best way to be. There are some guys who are into all that chase and all, excuse me, and chasing around, and usually we don't mind waiting for a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month to see or meet you. But if it's natural, you're actually busy or something, no problem. Just don't do it for the fun of it. Like if I make him chase me, oh, he'll feel more what, invested or something. Nope. Not really. Yeah, if there's a logical reason behind it, that's what I mean. If there's a logical reason behind you not being available at the moment, no problem. Like I mentioned before, maybe you're in a different city or you're traveling for work. However, if it's the usual excuse with no real reason behind it, I'd rather not play that. I'd rather not do that. No matter like how much time or how much he tries to stay away to make it worth it. Or like they say, oh, the more I stay away. No, that just means you're not really trying to be in a real relationship. I mean, you're still playing games, so probably not. I wouldn't like advise any lady to do that. Just usually the best thing is just to be yourself. Don't follow some of that crazy advice that people give about, oh, try this, try that. No, just be you. You've learned enough already based on your interactions with humans and with guys and with ladies. So no. Yeah, so just being honest and who she is. So, or still, if you're assuming that's, let's assume that I assume that that's the kind of lady she is, like manipulative. Instead of me thinking maybe she's just playing around, maybe I just might think she's just messed up or something worse than that. Because manipulation is the worst you can get. I mean, even for love and relationships. So I'll just assume, whoa, I'm just not into whatever kind of games she's playing. So usually, generally, we want somebody we can just love, someone we feel is open to love, and that's why we sometimes wait to see whether she's a lady is interested before we approach. We want that reception. That's just like the signal she's ready and a willing recipients to our attempts at wooing her. It's much more fulfilling like that. I mean, it's a nice feeling to find a woman you're interested in her wholeness, a complete, smiling, happy woman reciprocating the feelings you have. And imagine in her own feminine way. Nothing could be better than that. It's just sexy in its own nature. So it's more fulfilling. So we love that. We love that. If that's what you mean by a chase, that's all right. We're pursuing you in that sort of manner, no problem. But not the hard to get, not that kind. Like the one I've just mentioned. It's nice and sexy and natural. It's flowing. I mean, it's more fulfilling. You can just tell. The fireworks will be all over the place, but only the two of you will witness them, because everybody else, your friends, if they're out there and other people, they'll just see two smiling souls with bright light faces in their faces, while everybody else is like dark, lost souls. All right. I think I'm doing too much. So basically, be natural. Keep it natural. Don't act that disinterested. If you're not interested, great. Let him know you're not interested, or just blow it off, or blow him off in a nice way. But just don't act there. If you don't act hard to get, if you know you're interested, you never know how it might end up. Maybe he might lose interest, thinking you're not interested yourself. So try it differently. Just try being you. Moving on. Why would a guy choose to keep a lady as a date, or to date her in the future, or prefer to keep her as a what? As a fling? So, probably if she's a closed up woman, or a woman who's not receptive. By closed up, I mean a woman who's not receptive to trying out new things. So, if she's not open to trying out new things, you'd rather have her as a fling. I mean, you don't have much to do with the fling. You guys can meet up whenever you want. You don't even have to meet up after the first meetup. But with the date, you want somebody who's open, a little bit open to trying out some things, not everything. Nobody's open to trying everything. So just a couple of things, not everything. So we just want a woman who will not have lots of limits on herself. And maybe actually the worst thing, she might have limits on herself, but if she has limits on what the people around her can do or what they can experience, now that's just a little too much, because you're being a spoil sport. Like, guys want to go out and do something. You say, no, we can't do that. You can do that. But guys generally want to do whatever they want. I mean, we've grown up under the shadows and the watchful eyes of our guardians, our parents, so always being told what to do and what not to do. So we don't want that, adult lives. I don't want to be told, you can't do that. No, you. If no matter how much I was interested, and you come up with that, those motherly tendencies, they can be good in a nurturing way, but not in a demanding, authoritative manner. I think I mentioned that. I might have mentioned that in a different podcast, but it's all right. They're kind of related to this podcast too, to today's topic. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be too controlling or trying to get people to do only what you want to do. Guys just want somebody who's a little bit open to trying out new things. Maybe you don't want to meet his friends. You don't want to hang out with them. Once in a while, you can just go hang out with them. Just once in a while, make a show, showing up for life. The same way he might not always like doing some of the stuff you want to do, but he'll do it just for you. That makes a huge difference between, is she going to be a date? Because if you guys will be together for a while, like being an actual date rather than a fling, once in a while you'll have to hang out with some of his friends, even the ones you don't necessarily like. So that makes a huge difference on whether he decides, can she actually make it to be a full-blown date rather than just a fling. A fling doesn't have to hang out with him and his friends. She's usually probably doing something else, and he's actually also doing something else with his own friends and other people. So just put that little bit of extra effort, because with a date, we do actually matter, whether you're there with us, spending time and all that. But a fling is kind of just whatever. We don't really care or put that much effort into it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, we don't usually really give it that much attention. Moving on with a date. This just might happen to be the last point. Yeah, this might be the last point. So we can stop at that point. Yeah, not bad timing. So before we decide on whether we should actually date or just put you as a fling, this might be a decisive factor. You need to be a kind person. You don't have to be super kind or go overboard or over the way to be kind. No, just be a good person. Just normal kind, not super kind or crazy kind. Like, you don't go around killing every other little creature that you see. Not every bug is dangerous. So you don't really, that's what I mean by kind. Just be a good person. We want that kind of a person. That usually determines whether we tend to keep you as a real person we can date in the future, or just a fling. With a fling, she can kill as many bugs as she wants to. We are not really care about it. Even the little butterflies and the ladybugs. Not that we encourage anybody to do that, but not that I encourage anybody to do that, but what I mean is we won't always be there with them. So that's just, if that's their personality or who they are, we won't be part of that. But with somebody we're dating, we're looking for somebody who's kind, generally. Yeah, everybody wants a kind person around them. So, yeah. And last, and as I always say, and as everybody else says, but not least, remember, sometimes it's not on you. You might do everything right, you might be the right person, but there are guys out there who are just not the right people for you. So it's just not on you. The guy might just not be looking for somebody to date. He might be taken already, or just wants a steamy night of sex with a stranger. Basically, all he's looking for might just be a fling, and nothing you can do to change that. If that's what he's looking for, I mean, imagine if he's been dating somebody else, or he's in a relationship, so he's not looking for another relationship. So no matter how much you do or what you do, that will probably not change. And with that, I'm gonna stop right there. Hope you had a nice time, and I'll see you later as I answer more questions. Have a beautiful day. Oh, maybe it's a beautiful night. Whichever one you're having, have a great one. Catch you later.